All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Give Me Five. You know it, you love it, and you got to have it, so I deliver. The left has gone nuts over the nomination of Senator Sessions to be Attorney General of the United States. Chuck Schumer, who served with the guy for 20 years, he's not happy either.
Well, look, like any nominee, he has to be questioned very carefully, not only about his past, but about the future. One question I'd want to ask him, what do you want to do with the Civil Rights Division? Things like that. So it's premature to say yes or no, but certainly a strong, thorough questioning of Jeff Sessions before one supports or opposes him is much called for. These are troubling things, and the only fair thing to do is ask a lot of questions, very thorough questions, and then make an opinion.
They're going to try to make him out to be a racist for things he allegedly said 30 years ago. Carol Costello was almost crying. She was so upset that Jeff Sessions got the nomination. I'm telling you, you remember Carol Costello, who loved when Sarah Palin's daughter was dialing 911 and talking to the 911 operator about how she was assaulted. And Carol Costello said, "It's the best sound ever, and you could thank me later." But she's very upset at Jeff Sessions. These people are nuts. And Charles Schumer is, he's the most insignificant political figure in Washington right now. I don't care. Let him try to filibuster. We will pull the nuclear option on you there, Chucky boy. Nuclear option, which you guys pulled a couple of years ago. The Republicans will do it right back to you because you started it. Now, this guy, Paul Butler, former prosecutor, now a professor, with Al Sharpton going after Sessions.
It's not about him being a conservative Republican. I was privileged to work at the Justice Department during both Clinton and Bush administrations, but this man is a radical extremist. If he is confirmed, criminal justice reform is dead. This is a man who loves the failed war on drugs. He loves mandatory minimum sentences. He loves private prisons. What doesn't he like? Black Lives Matter. Trump says if he's president, he's going to investigate that movement that's trying to make things more fair for African-American people.
Hey, do you realize that everything this guy's upset about is what America believes? In other words, he is in such a minority, not black minority, but that left-wing minority, because only 22% of people identify themselves as liberal in the first place in the latest poll. And even a smaller minority of the 22% worry about what this guy's talking about. Just criminal justice reform. That means blame the cops first. Sessions isn't going to do that. Sessions isn't going to do that. And then get this.
This is a man who would be over the Voting Rights Division. He would be over the Civil Rights Division, which under President Obama has done more investigations of local police departments than all of the administrations combined. So again, all of these progressive interventions for civil rights, they'd be not only dead on arrival, he'd take us back. Because one thing we've seen with other conservative administrations is not only do they stop bringing the cases, they start bringing civil rights cases on behalf of white people.
Civil rights cases on behalf of white people. You mean white people have to be treated fairly under the law as well? My God, that is reason for concern. This radical extremist, according to this professor, God help us, might bring civil rights cases on behalf of white people. Woo! How frightening, how outrageous. You see how sick these people are? Sick, twisted. Right? White people shouldn't have civil rights cases brought on their behalf. They're white people. Okay, now back to NBC. Do you remember when NBC selectively edited a tape of Mitt Romney when he was running for president? He was describing the process of how you place an order at a Wawa. Now, I've never been in a Wawa. Until then, I never heard of a Wawa. There just aren't any in New York, in the place where I live. There's just none. So he described the process, how innovative it is, how you place your order here, and then, bingo, all of a sudden the sandwich comes out here. So they made it appear as if, well, they cut out his explanation. They cut out talking about how innovative it was and how great it was and how businesses should follow that fingerprint, and they made it sound like he was like, oh, you ever been to a Wawa? You do this and the sandwich comes out here. They made him look stupid. Selective editing. And there have been several instances since, got a cold and it's tough, where NBC or MSNBC has done the same. I want you to watch this with Chuck Todd from Meet the Press and Reince Priebus. Watch.
Let me ask you a question about the appointment of General Mike Flynn to National Security Advisor. Essentially, there are two corner offices in the White House. You're going to be in one. He's going to be in the other. In February, Flynn posted a video listing bombings perpetrated by Muslims with the comment, "Fear of Muslims is rational." Can you equivocally rule out a registry for Muslims?
Look, I'm not going to rule out anything, but I wouldn't. We're not going to have a registry based on a religion.
I'm not going to rule out anything, but we're not going to have a registry based on religion. So, let's put up the first one, 122. This is put out by Meet the Press. They correctly quoted him. Priebus on Trump's proposed Muslim ban. I'm not going to rule out anything, but we're not going to have a registry based on a religion. That's Meet the Press's tweet. Now let's go to the next one, ladies and gentlemen. This is NBC News' tweet. Can you rule out a registry for Muslim? Asked Chuck Todd. I'm not going to rule out anything, says Priebus on Meet the Press. They left out, but we're not going to have a registry based on a religion. They left out the most important part of the quote. They left out the part of the quote that would quell fears. They decided to incite fear, incite turmoil, falsely represent what Reince Priebus said, because that's who they are. That's what they do. That's who they are. We are in a media war, and the media still thinks that somehow America doesn't get it. Chuck Todd, the rest of them, they're part of the 22% of this country, and they think they represent us all. Shame on NBC. Hour 2 of America Talks Live with my friend J.D. Hayworth is next, but first, Bill Tucker has this special report on the left's push to tighten gun laws and why it hasn't worked in many cases to reduce crime.
Illinois State Representative Sonia Harper wants all the bullets sold in her state to have serial numbers as a way to fight gun violence in Chicago. She wants the serial numbers on the base of the bullet so that, in theory, police can trace the bullet back to where it was bought, get a record of who bought the bullet to prove who fired the bullet. Following the advice of Chicago's police superintendent, who recommends locking up criminals who use guns to commit crime, apparently it's just too simple. Before Illinois gets all swept up in the emotion about numbering bullets, its lawmakers should look to Maryland. Maryland had a similar system in place for 5 years, spent $15 million on the program, and not a single crime was solved. In Massachusetts, the state attorney general is going after gun makers for making a dangerous product. The AG there is demanding that Glock and Remington surrender a wide range of internal documents, including safety-related complaints from consumers. There's been no outclamoring, mind you, no outcry for such regulation. Gun companies have generally been very reactive to any reported safety problems. Let's face it, a gun is a dangerous product, and it should be for anyone on the business end of a gun. The goal in Massachusetts is the same as in Illinois: raise the cost, increase the bureaucracy of gun ownership, effectively making it difficult for law-abiding citizens to own guns. Do you think criminals give 2 cents about the law? Bill Tucker, Newsmax, New York.